Hi everyone and welcome to my review of Carry On Spying from 1964, directed by Gerald and of course the ninth film in the Carry On series. As yes, we are back once again and ready to discuss another Carry On film. So it's been checking 4 years since I discussed a Carry On film on the channel, and that was the only one I talked about actually, Carry On Camping, back in 2019. Obviously that's insane. But yes, that's a film I'd seen many times, and of course now very recently I started wanting to go through the films, all of them, because some I'd never seen, and of course there's a few that I've seen many times, and quite a few that I have seen at some point. So yes, I've been going through a few of them, including of course Karen's Screaming, rewatching that, and I'll be reviewing that as well. But yes, I do plan on, in that sense, gradually going through these films, on the channel, all of them, and eventually, way down the line, there'll be a ranking that I do plan on doing. So yes, of course there'll be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If you haven't seen this film, I'd recommend seeing it and then come back to this video here, and we can talk about it, in the comments if you want. So yes, with all that said, let's dig in. First time watch for me actually, this one. I'd never seen this, and it's a one that I guess I should have seen it. Being the kind of the James Bond spoof of the series, obviously among other spy films, and including The Third Man. But it's a very it's quite a kind of divisive Carry On film. Some would put it quite high, it seems, and some would put it right in the bottom. Only maybe a few below it would be the usual, Emmanuel, which I haven't actually seen, and Columbus. These ones again, I haven't seen that one. So this is sometimes kind of put down the bottom, as I say. So it was interesting to see this film. I had never seen it. It's very significant, of course, the first Barbara Windsor Carry On film as well, and the last black and white Carry On film, which is mildly interesting. That was, I believe, partially due to budget decisions in that sense, because it could be done cheaper, in this situation, with black and white, and obviously the Carry On films are not known for big budgets, so they did obviously make regularly, different decisions that were to try and tighten the, work around the budget. There were obviously many Carry On films within short, kind of proximity that were made. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that. And yeah, this is the last one though, in black and white. And this is the first. It's quite once again reminded. It's quite baffling. This is the first James Bond spoof. As a feature film, and it's a one that I think it's interesting how this doesn't really get too much credit for that. I think obviously you hear about Austin Powers. Obviously they're very popular films, especially the first one. I'm not a fan, of Austin Powers actually. All respect to everyone who are, fans of the series, but it's just not for me. And there are different obviously films that parody Bond, but Austin Powers being the main one. But I think this for me is is more my kind of thing, and I think it is over the top at times, this one, but it's much more subtle and charming to me, and I think yes, it was really nice to see this one. I must say, my overall impression is this is a very solid film, but very enjoyable. My enjoyment levels are higher than the kind of this being a solid film, because it's just so charming, and seeing the kind of the four main, especially characters, these spies that kind of team up, the different locations, and just the kind of carefree, attitude of this one. It was very soothing to see, and being black and white as well. I love how they shot this film as well, and just the way in which the kind of film flows. I think there's a couple of patches where this is not. It kind of you could say it's a bit drawn out. A couple of gags here and there. I think with obviously in the middle portion of the film, and stuff. And when they go to Algiers, it's not quite as good at times. But I think the final act has got kind of a big standout sequence where they kind of play a whole kind of scenario backwards, literally, and it's just really hilarious. Of course, Charles Hawtrey, especially, in that sequence, is hilarious. And yes, the plot is very basic, so it kind of allows a lot of room for different scenarios, focusing on kind of the different sequences here, comedy based, and just kind of a loose plot, and stuff, and obviously playing on the genre of spy films, but the basic plot is these four spies, British spies, get sent to different locations, obviously pursuing this top secret, kind of chemical formula, of course. So yes, that's the main plot, and of course we have the briefing at first, where they're all kind of assigned, code names, which is really hilarious, and just Charles Hawtrey, of course, the reference there being very obvious, as well, his actual name, and not his code name, but his actual name, in the film, and this is a really nice sequence where it kind of sets up the characters, the interactions, kind of relationships. It gets the film going, and we have the kind of briefing being very, very similar, obviously, to the Bond series, From Russia with Love, obviously there, with different moments, of course, and characters, which is really fun to see. Obviously, this is just after those films, Dr. No and From Russia with Love, so no other kind of Bond films that they actually spoofed. Having said that, it's oddly kind of predicting almost different things, in the series, or the tone. It's kind of it kind of spoofs the entire series in one way or another, really. So it's very, very interesting. It kind of spoofs almost the entire bulk of the franchise without actually coming before those films, especially the Roger Moore films, actually, Bond films. So very interesting there. But yes, I really liked this first act, and the kind of briefing there, and then of course the characters go off, and I loved in particular the sequence, when all the characters, kind of their attempts to actually, pick them off, and kind of poison them and all this kind of stuff, and just them trying to kind of stay hidden, and kind of ending up, messing it up straight away, and kind of saying, stuff like they don't know each other, and all this, and making it very obvious, of course, to the enemy, and I just loved, in particular, these sequences here. It's just very, very quick with the comedy, and I think Bernard Cribbins, in these scenes is hilarious. Charles Hawtrey, of course, just throughout, just so charming and hilarious, of course. Barbara Windsor, the first appearance, from Barbara Windsor in the Carry On films. Obviously, she's famous for, she was one of the, the regulars, of course, of the series. But this is actually the first one which she joined. So the ninth film, obviously, there, and yes, we have obviously the great Kenneth Williams in this film as well. The main character, really, and I think he is. If I had to pick one standout, he is the standout here. Just throughout, hilarious. And just his accent, as well as just his mannerisms, and the scenarios. I think some of the standout bits as well. In Vienna, when he comes out of the sewers there, and just when they're all meeting up again, and stuff. Just the scene in the warehouse as well, where they're all kind of being clumsy. These moments, I was laughing out loud. And I think, just Kenneth Williams in this film, it's just so great, and he's charming. He's really hilarious, and I think just the chemistry as well, and the way he, kind of leads the film in that sense is great. But definitely the other three main characters as well. They're all really hilarious in this film, and of course the acting. Bernard Cribbins. He pulls off so many kind of hilarious moments in this film. This is one of the three films that he was in. The Carry On films, and obviously Charles Hawtrey as well. A big regular. The series, and I loved him in this film, and just these four characters together. It's so charming, so kind of feel good. I think there are some moments though in the second act of the film. The change of location there, where there's a couple of moments. I must say that, as I've said, the gags are slightly drawn out there, and a bit. It just wasn't the most funny of moments. When Bernard Cribbins is kind of singing and stuff and playing the guitar and all this. It's a bit it wasn't quite for my liking there. Just in the way it kind of carried on. It was quite a lengthy sequence that's all there, and it wasn't that funny to me really. And of course, just a couple of patches around those moments there when they're kind of well, yeah, with the change of location, just could have been a bit better. And I think the film doesn't quite overall live up to the first 40 to 45 minutes really. But I think regardless, consistently, I think this is really really funny. And the final act, as I say once again, kind of this lair moment, you could say. This is full of really funny moments, and I think just the writing throughout, is definitely on point. As I say, it's very fast. The gags, and just the delivery from the actors, these are all just playing the comedy so well, and I think the way in which, as I say, that kind of one of the sequences, the final act is played backwards, a very simple kind of way to do that there, and kind of to add comedy, but it's just hilarious in the way it happens, because when we have the first moment of that sequence playing out, it's really hilarious. You don't quite notice certain odd things, for example, that Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey are doing, and then when it's played backwards, it's a kind of seeing it from a different angle and stuff. It's just hilarious, and I loved as well different moments in the final act. It's really quite satisfying. We have obviously the characters being victorious, and they get the plans, the formula, of course, and just in the final moments we have kind of regrouping back at the base, but of course with a twist, and I really liked that moment there. Although I will say the ending is a bit abrupt, because when it happens, that's it, and stuff, and it's a bit. I would have liked a bit more, just a bit more rounding off there, and kind of interactions a bit more with some of the characters again. But this is a very very short film. I do think the ending is rushed though, regardless. But it's a short film, and for what this film is, I think it really achieves something at times quite special. It's a very very solid film overall, but it has its moments that I really I did love actually, and I think an underrated one for me, or underappreciated. I just find it quite. It's interesting how for example, Austin Powers, and stuff like this is so it's very much the go-to James Bond spoof. I guess it's just for me, not my kind of thing with the way it's pulled off that one. I personally much prefer something like this. Carry On Spying. It's got subtleties, but it is obviously as well full of laugh out loud moments as well. I just think it's much more effective in spoofing the genre without being too kind of obvious in picking apart different moments, and just the way that the gags are done, in this, for the most part, it's just much more effective for me, and much more charming. But that's my opinion. This is certainly kind of a spoof of James Bond and other spy films in the genre that I do gravitate to more, and I think this is definitely my kind of comedy in that regard. And it's a very 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 solid film, really charming, and I just had a great time at watching this film. Very very enjoyable for me, and definitely a good solid carry on film. And so yes, my final rating for this film is a 75%. So yes, I really do like this film. It's definitely very very solid. In terms of the overall quality of this film, I found, and again, consistently funny, with some moments that aren't, here and there, that aren't as funny as they could have been, and moments, just a couple of gags that especially dragged out, in the middle of the film, in particular, and moments that don't quite work to my liking, but overall, very very funny, this film, really charming, and actually, quite impressive, and mind blowing, really, this being the first kind of Bond spoof at all, really. So it's very very quick, after obviously From Russia with Love being the previous year, which was when the franchise started becoming a franchise. Obviously Doctor No was 62, that came out, but yes, definitely very quick into the kind of the Bond series. This was attempting to do that, and it done it very very effectively, although obviously it does focus on other films as well, in particular The Third Man as well, which is great to see. The music, obviously the location, and different references, coming out of the sewers, and stuff like that, the manhole cover as well. And just a really, really charming film. As I say, the performances, I love, and from the four main characters, the cast there, obviously Charles Hawtrey, Kenneth Williams, and Barbara Windsor being big regulars in this series, obviously, and yeah, it's great to see them all here. Obviously, Barbara Windsor being the first one that she appeared in, and yeah, it's just, I think Kenneth Williams for me, you know, is really just a favourite of mine. I think in terms of, you know, the defining person for me, you know, Carry On actor. I think if I had to pick one again, it would be Kenneth Williams. Just his, you know, his performance, you know, his kind of what he does in these films. You know, I think it defines it more than if I had to pick again, you know, any other you know, kind of actor really that was in the series. You know, and obviously he was in the most. That's not really the reason, but I do personally. I think it's probably Kenneth Williams. Just the defining. You know, just the one I think of, you know, first of the Carry On films. So yes, really great to see this film, and I highly recommend seeing this if you've not already. This was the first time watch for me a couple of days ago now, and you know, it's one that it was really interesting to see, and certainly a very nice watch, very comforting, very warm and charming, and yeah, very well written at times, and acted as well. So yeah, it's a very interesting film to see, and you know, it's a film that I do really enjoy. So yes, that's my thoughts. What do you think of this film? It'd be very fascinating to see, you know, what you think of this film, and I look forward to once again going through the Carry On films, and obviously, like this one, seeing ones that I'd never seen before. So there's quite a few actually. You know, obviously there's 31 in total, and you know, very soon I will be getting access to the DVD box set. So I will be, you know, over time being able to see all of them on physical media, and yeah, as I watch these or rewatch these films, I'll be talking about them here on the channel, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on as many as these films as you want. You know, feel free to leave your thoughts, you know, on these when we go through them, and yeah, eventually, as always, way down the line there will be a ranking that I look forward to actually really getting that together. A big list again, just like Bond, the ranking there, but definitely I'll be doing it, and yeah, that's it for now. Obviously, it was great to do this, and I look forward to bringing more Carry On films. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.